everyone, welcome back to Hadley's High Carb Kitchen. My name is Hadley and I started this channel in an effort to combat low carb diets and calorie restriction. So today in this video I wanted to talk about how much I eat in a day, how many calories, and what it is exactly that I am eating, because I've gotten some questions about that. I do have a lot of what I eat in a day videos up here on YouTube and on my Instagram if you want to check them out. But I'll give you a little rundown of how many calories I'm eating in a day and what exactly it is that I am eating. Okay, first off, let's talk about calories. So I typically fall in the range of about 2,500 calories to 3,500 calories. It really depends what I'm doing in a day, my activity level, how I'm feeling, my energy levels, that kind of thing. So I know that probably seems like a lot of calories. And you're probably thinking, well, what about calories in versus calories out? Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not a thing. When you're eating carbohydrates, most of the excess carbs get stored as glycogen, or they get burnt off as dietary thermogenesis. So yeah, carbs are processed a little bit different in the body, whereas they don't readily turn into fat. And that the process of turning carbohydrates into fat is through a process called de novo lipogenesis. Your body doesn't like to do it. It's very taxing on your body. Yeah, so carbohydrates are what fuels your body, not easily turned into fat. We store it as glycogen or burn it off as dietary thermogenesis. So that's part of the reason why I eat so many calories, or can eat so many calories and stay lean and healthy and fit. The other reason is right now I'm a mom. I work a job that requires a lot of cognitive function, and your brain takes in a lot of glucose. I have a household, I have pets, and that kind of thing. I also am currently training for a 20K race and a couple of 5K races. So the 20K race is taking a lot of training. I'm training 5 to 6 days a week, just trying to get my running up because I really want to improve my time. My first half marathon that I ever run, and I know this isn't a half marathon, but it's close. The first half marathon I ran it in an hour and 54 minutes. And I'd really like to get my time down to an hour 40, hour 30. That would be ideal. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, so I am training. I am a mom. I have a lot of responsibilities. I have a job. I have a household to run. I have pets. So that takes a lot of energy, and you need to take in a lot of energy to have a big output in your life. And I used to run on stims and that kind of thing and undereat, and I could make it through the day, but I was very, very, very sleepy a lot of the time. Yeah, so my calorie range anywhere is from 2,500 to 3,500. Right now it's closer to the 3,000 mark most days, just because of my training and needing to, I need to be on when I'm a mom. I want my daughter to have my full attention and give her the best version of myself. So yes, I eat a lot of calories, and what your calorie intake is going to be is different than mine, and you kind of just have to figure it out. I figured this out through a lot of trial and error. I don't typically track my calories unless I am posting a video where I'm including my calories, because people like to see calories. But yeah, I don't typically track in the way of I need to make sure that I'm eating this certain amount, or I'm eating under or over or whatever. I just track simply because I like statistics, and I also like to show other people, because they're generally pretty curious about the calorie intake most times. And it's good to have statistics. It's good to know where you're sitting at, if you're not used to tracking calories and you kind of have no idea how much you're actually taking in. You could be taking in less than you think you are, especially with high carb, low fat foods, because they tend to be a little bit more on the calorie dilute side of the calorie density chart, because for all you calorie lovers out there, carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram of and fat is 9 calories per gram intake. So yeah, it's a little bit more calorie dilute than eating higher fat foods. So it is hard. I mean, sometimes I find it hard to get in enough calories, or like making sure that I am getting enough calories, and I will know because my energy will not be very good and my sleep will not be very good typically if I don't eat enough. And again, that probably looks like more than you think, because it can be a lot of calories. Okay, so that's my little spiel on calories. Yeah, like I said, 2,500 to 3,500, depending on your activity levels. You kind of have to figure it out for yourself. Like, no one can tell you, unfortunately, how many calories you're supposed to be eating. But that's my range, given my activity level and my lifestyle. Yeah, okay, so now that I've talked about that, let's talk about what it is that I do eat in a day. So what do I eat in a day? So I normally always start my day with fruit. And I've tried starting my day with starches. I don't love it. It just doesn't feel right. It's not as hydrating. It's not as satisfying to me as eating a fruit meal first thing. So that could look like whole fruit. Typically, like sometimes I'll just like eat a bunch of bananas, which will probably range from anywhere to 6 to 10 bananas, depending on, you know, if I've worked out or how my hunger levels are feeling that day or that morning. So it'll be either fresh fruit, like whole fruit. Sometimes I start my day with a melon, but melons are very low in calories, so it's kind of like I share it with my daughter. I just have like a little bit here and there, just to kind of like get that hydration in. And I really love melons. Melons are really tasty, obviously. So I normally share like a half a melon with my daughter. She doesn't eat very much. She's not very old. She's not even 3 yet. So I end up eating like the majority of the melon, but it's still only like, I don't know, 150 calories, so not very much. So after I have my melon, I will either, sometimes I'll do some exercise, or I'll just like wait until a little bit later, and following the melon, then I will have either typically a smoothie or fresh fruit, like I said, like just bananas. I don't typically like to start my day with just eating dates. Like I'll put dates in a smoothie, but they're not as fresh and juicy as I would like for starting my day with. So like I'll make like a Daterade, which is really delicious. I made a Daterade with dates and coconut water the other day. Highly recommend. It was so good, so satisfying, so hydrating. Yeah, so that's how I typically start my days, with fruit, whatever fruit is available. I don't typically have like a meal of like nectarines or peaches or anything, because one, they're really expensive, and it's really hard where I live, even in the summer, to find good fresh peaches, nectarines, that kind of thing. So it's, yeah, typically bananas or dates in a smoothie, or fresh just bananas. Okay, so for lunch is, again, it's typically fruit again. I will have like, I would love to have a watermelon, but they're not in season right now. And they're also kind of expensive. So I typically stick to dates and bananas again. Or if you wish, you could have a starch meal if you want. Sometimes I have like a big bowl of like potato soup, or you could have rice. I prefer potatoes. I find they sit a little bit better during the day than rice does. So normally, yeah, it'll be like another fruit smoothie, or I'll have like my potatoes, which would be like probably like 7 to 10 potatoes, again, depending on how hungry I am. Or I'll have some sweet potatoes. What's really good is taking sweet potatoes, chopping them up, putting a little bit of coconut sugar and smoked paprika on them. It kind of has like a barbecue-y type flavor, like barbecue chip type flavor. Put them in the air fryer, put them in the oven. Whatever you want to do with them is great. Yeah, so that's typically lunch. And really, you can have whatever starch you like. If you like noodles or pasta or whatever you want, that's perfectly good too. Yeah, so, and then for my supper meal, I like to have greens typically. Like I like to have a big salad. Sometimes I'll throw some like cooked vegetables on top of it. And then for dressing, I'll either mix like maple syrup and mustard, or like I'll make like a date mustard mixture in the blender. That's always good. Kind of like a honey mustard type thing going on there. Yeah, so I like to start my supper with fresh greens with possibly some cooked vegetables on top of it. And then after that, I always have starch, typically for supper. And that normally looks like rice or potatoes again, but I really like to have rice because I find that I can fit in a lot of calories of rice and I really enjoy it, and I love sushi. You can totally make like a bunch of sushi at home. It's like super easy. It's one of my favorite things to make. So yeah, I'll either have like just plain basmati jasmine rice with soy sauce and nori wraps, and sometimes I'll throw some vegetables in there too, but normally I like to eat my vegetables before, because sometimes I find that eating the non-starchy vegetables kind of like gives me a little bit of gut issues. So I like to eat my vegetables before and then have my starch meal after. It's all relative to you, like and your gut microbiome and how it's functioning will depend on like how you can like digest certain things. Yeah, so it's either rice, potatoes, sometimes I have pasta, sometimes I'll have pizza. Like I'll make a pizza dough. I like to use Nutrition by Victoria's pizza dough. It's really, really yummy. I think it's listed on her channel, and I'll post it in this video if I remember down below in the comments. Yeah, so that's really good. Pasta, sometimes gnocchi is a good option. I just buy gnocchi from the store. I don't make my own. I tried one time. It was a complete disaster, but I'm sure one day I'll learn how to make gnocchi properly. Yeah, so just like basically any starch that you like, and you do have to eat in abundance. Like I find, even for myself, sometimes I'm like, I underestimate how many calories I need to eat, and my energy levels will be low the next day, or you know, I won't sleep very well. So yeah, that's typically my go-to. And then for snacks, I'll typically snack on fruit, or sometimes candies, or gummies, or sorbets, which are really yummy, because you don't need to be afraid of sugar. It's not going to make you fat. Yeah, so that's typically what I eat in a day. Sometimes I'll do a fully raw day, where I just eat basically like fruits and greens all day. Just because like sometimes I'm like too late, I don't feel like cooking for myself. I just want to eat, like sometimes I'll just eat bananas, which typically looks to be about like 30-ish bananas a day, and maybe I'll throw some dates in there too. It really depends how hungry I am and how I'm feeling. Yeah, so that's the typical rundown of what I do in a day. I can talk about exercise. So what I do for exercise is basically whatever I feel like that day. I mean, right now I'm specifically training for a running race, so I've been obviously doing a lot of running. I really like cycling. Like yesterday I used my bike, because I don't live near a hill. I was doing hill sprints, so I took my bike and I biked to the nearest hill, and yeah, and I just ran up and down a couple of times, sprinted up and down a couple of times. So that was challenging but fun. And what else am I doing? Oh, I'm doing some strength training right now, and some stretching, of course, but strength training, trying to strengthen my glutes, because my right side has not quite recovered fully from when I had my daughter, just the way she was sitting, and the ligaments get all stretchy when you're pregnant. So I'm just, you know, working on strengthening my glutes, and my quads have always been very, very strong, but like my hamstrings, that kind of thing. I typically use YouTube to do my strength training videos, or I will use the Peloton app, because I have a Peloton. It's a great thing if you can afford it. That's kind of like my gym membership type thing, because I don't go to a gym. I haven't gone to a gym, like physically gone to a gym since before 2020, before the whole pandemic thing happened. So yeah. So it's either running, like a lot of running right now, a little bit of strength training, like probably 2 times a week for about 20 to 30 minutes per session. And then I try to do stretching. I try to do yoga in the evening, because I do tend to get a little sore and stiff. I also sit all day on top of you know, doing my training. So, you know, that kind of, that will tighten your hip flexors and all that. So I do have a sitting standing desk, which I really got to stand more, I think, than sit. But anyways, yeah, so, and I do love biking. Like I said, I have a Peloton, which I've been using pretty much all winter because it's like impossible here to go outside. It's like pretty cold and miserable where I live, and it's getting a little bit better now. We don't really have spring where I am. It's just kind of like it rains and it's kind of cold, and it does that until summer comes. So yeah, so not a whole lot of outdoor activities in the winter time. So it's in the winter time I was using the Peloton a lot, or I'll jump on YouTube or the Peloton app and do some strength training, but not very much strength training because I really don't, I find lifting kind of boring now. I used to do it like all the time because I thought that's what I had to do, but I just want to do it for not so much for aesthetic reasons now, but more for like functional reasons. Like I want my core to be strong and I want my glutes to be strong so that I'm more mobile and I can do things, and like it prevents injury. So it's not so much about aesthetics as it is for functional everyday life stuff. And what else do I do? That's pretty much it. So it's basically just running. Oh, I do walk. I walk my dog maybe like 20 to 30 minutes if I have time. The poor guy. Sometimes I just take him out in the yard. We have a lot of land. He just runs around. Yeah, so it'll be like a little biking or running, jogging, doing stretching, some weight training, and walking. Yeah, that's basically it. And I think that you got to find what you really like to do. Like maybe you don't like being outside. Maybe you don't like cycling. Maybe you don't like running. Maybe you love weight training. Whatever, I think that it's important to like find what you really like to do, because then you want to do it consistently. Yeah, and if you want to know about my running training and how that's going, or what I'm doing exactly for that in more details, you can let me know in the comments down below, and I can talk about that in a separate video because this one's getting a little bit lengthy. But yeah, so basically the long and the short of it is I do exercise that I enjoy, that keeps me consistent because I love it. I eat when I'm hungry to satiety, and make sure that I'm, you know, getting in enough calories, and it does take some experimenting to figure out like exactly how many calories you need to get in. But like I said, 2,500 to 3,500 for me. And nutrition is basically sugar, starch, fruit. That's pretty much it. Fruit, sugar, starch. As Harley says, fruit, water, sugar, sleep. That's what we need. Sleep is also very important, but we're not talking about that in this video. So anyways, I hope that answers some of your questions of like how many calories I eat in a day, what kind of exercise I do, and what exactly it is that I'm eating. Okay, thanks for watching this video. If you have any more questions or comments or anything like that, just post them down below and I can talk about them in another video. Okay, thanks everyone for listening to this video, and take very good care, and bye!